ISIS militants are kidnapping Christians in Syria. The Assyrian Democratic Organization says ISIS raided 33 Assyrian villages, picking up as many as 300 people along the way. Right now, officials can't confirm the exact number of hostages, but humanitarian organizations have confirmed reports that ISIS has been taking the Assyrian Christians from a chain of villages in the past few days. It began as Islamic State militants suffered two major setbacks on the battlefield. Gary Lane has more.
The Iraqi military hailed its important victory this week against the Islamic State. ISIS forces were routed from Al-Baghdadi, a city west of Baghdad that they've held since last June. But Al-Baghdadi was not the only town of defeat for the ISIS forces. Peshmerga troops in northeastern Syria, known as the YPG, drove Islamic State militants from the Kurdish city of Tal Tamr. But as they retreated, the ISIS jihadists kidnapped at least 90 Assyrian Christians. The men were taken to an undisclosed location, the women to a nearby mountain. Based on their past actions, ISIS may behead the abducted men and use the women as sex slaves. Juliana Tamarazzi is with the Assyrian Philos Project.
These women were sobbing, saying, what is our fault? Why is the West silent? Why is the church not talking about our persecution? And they're questioning the foreign policy of America and also other world powers in Europe, saying, why is it that there's no agenda, there's really nothing that is being done to help the persecuted in the Middle East?
U.S. wake up!
U.S. wake up!
ISIS is the door!
ISIS is the door!
A group of Egyptian-American Coptics gathered near the White House Tuesday, demanding that the Obama administration do more to protect Egyptian, Syrian, and Iraqi Christians.
The Obama administration didn't make a clear statement that these individuals were killed for their faith. They actually referred to them in their White House statement as Egyptian citizens, and that's very disappointing to the Coptic community.
Brotherhood, ISIS, Boko Haram, I want to take action against them instead of support them.
And Egyptian President al-Sisi is calling for a united Arab military force to combat ISIS. He says Jordan and the United Arab Emirates have already offered to help Egypt on the battlefield.
Joining us via Skype from California is Tom Doyle. He's Vice President of E3 Partners. Tom, you're also the author of the new book, Killing Christians, Living the Faith Where It's Not Safe to Believe. We appreciate you joining us again. And this is disturbing. What have you learned about the abduction this week of those Christians in Syria?
Well, some of our leaders in Syria have family members that were taken. And the latest that we received this morning is that ISIS has announced that they're going to burn 30 villages to the ground. We don't know if they'll follow up on that, but we already know of some killings happening. But we're praying that the church and the world cries out for these lives. It's 100 to 200 that are taken. It's a terrible tragedy.
Why did you write your latest book, Killing Christians? I'm sure the spiritual had a lot to do with it.
I wanted to tell the stories about those that are living in the midst of this danger. I really do think, Gary, some of the people in this book, if Hebrews 11 was being written today, they might be contained in it, standing, serving Christ, sharing the gospel in the midst of ISIS. They're serving Christ faithfully in the front lines, and their lives will inspire you.
Finally, how should we be praying for them? Not only about ISIS, but for the unsaved and also for the saved, the Middle East Christians.
Well, I think Satan is not stupid, and he knows that in the last 10 years, more Muslims have come to faith than in the last 14 centuries of Islam. So he is not only trying to cause global chaos, but he's trying to keep the church, the believers, from bringing the light into this darkness. So we ask first that believers would start praying. Once we start praying, we have heart surgery, we have a change, and God starts to do things in our mind and in our heart for the believers out there and for those that are even unsaved.
Thanks so much. We'll look forward to reading that book, and thanks for joining us.